Blood, death, coins, constellations, leveling up. All of these things are just light novel concepts. But what would happen if your favorite novel became reality? In a bustling subway, our adventure begins with a young man named Dokya. His nose was buried in the final chapter of the web novel sensation, 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. Now, Dokya's name often led people to assume he was an only child or an individualist, because of his Korean pronunciation is very similar to single child. But he was just your average 28-year-old guy. He had graduated from a third-rate college and worked as a contractor at a subsidiary of a large corporation. But here's the thing about Dokya. He absolutely loved reading serialized web novels, especially during his daily subway rides. And on this particular day, as fate would have it, his colleague, Sanga from HR, plopped down next to him. Now, Sanga was no ordinary co-worker. She was the most popular girl at their workplace. Orange-brown hair, soft brown eyes, and great curves. Curiosity got the better of Sanga, and she asked Dokya what he was reading and who his favorite author was. Little did she know that Dokya's current subway ride was unlike any other, because he was about to finish the epic journey of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. This web novel had been Dokya's faithful companion since 8th grade, spanning a mind-boggling 3,149 episodes. It was a 10-year-long saga that began in his teenage years and ended in his adulthood today. Dokya thought to himself that this story felt like it had been written specifically for him. As the omniscient reader of the series, he believed that the author had crafted every twist and turn with him in mind. Grateful for the incredible storytelling, Dokya had even left a comment expressing his appreciation. To his surprise, he received a message from the author of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. The author praised Dokya for enabling them to complete the story and revealed that, starting from 7 p.m., the novel would become paid content. Just as Dokya was processing this unexpected turn of events, the lights in the subway suddenly went out. Dokya dismissed the coincidence of checking the time right at that moment and listened to the announcement urging everyone to evacuate due to an imminent threat. Nervousness and fear gripped the passengers as a mysterious creature emerged in the subway, bringing the story's fictional world crashing into reality. It was as if the boundary between fiction and the tangible had blurred. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is the best ability from Manhwa? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. The creature known as Dokibi resembled a furry creature with tiny horns, donning a straw garment and hovering mid-air, just as described in the novel. Dokya couldn't believe his eyes as the events unfolded exactly like the beginning of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. Dokibi called out to the terrified passengers, claiming to be the very same monster who appeared in the novel's opening paragraph. In this surreal moment, Dokya felt a surge of determination. He knew he had something important to share with his fellow passengers. But before he could do so, a child innocently referred to Dokibi as a cartoon character, setting off a chain reaction enraged outburst from all of the passengers. With the rising volume, the Dokibi shouts for them to be quiet as one of the passengers' heads explodes in a spray of red blood. Chaos ensued, and Dokya's uncertainty vanished when he saw the floor stained with crimson. The Dokibi sternly addressed the passengers, proclaiming that their privileged lives were coming to an end, and nothing would be easily accessible anymore. Amidst the chaos, a man named Mr. Han offered him money to let him go, but Dokibi burned the checks, warning Mr. Han against any further tricks. It was then that a message appeared, catching everyone's attention. It was the beginning of a main scenario, demanding that they prove their worth by exterminating one or more living organisms. The difficulty level was set to F. The Dokibi wished them luck, hoping to witness an exciting story unfold, and then popped out of existence. Meanwhile, an army lieutenant tried to calm everyone down, knowing that even a slight commotion could lead to heavy casualties in such a situation. Dokya, with his knowledge of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, recognized the name of Lieutenant Hyun Seong, one of the supporting characters in the novel. He pondered whether this was how Hyun Seong was first introduced in the original story, hoping for clues about what was happening. As the passengers listened to the Prime Minister's speech addressing the Level 1 emergency, a shocking turn of events occurred. The Prime Minister claimed that this was the work of unidentified terrorists, but his head was then exploded by a Dokibi, escalating the danger and tension. The Dokibi raised the stakes, reducing the remaining time to just 10 minutes and adding a penalty. If no death occurred within 5 minutes, all the living things in the cabin would be exterminated. Amidst the panic, Dokya realized that the subway's door had been sealed shut by an invisible wall, illustrating the dire consequences of doing nothing. To emphasize the gravity of the situation, the Dokaibi played a live video of a school that had exceeded the time limit, resulting in a horrific tragedy. The passengers, including Dokya and Sanga, watched in terror as one female student strangled another to death. It was at this moment that Dokya and Sanga's lives took a new turn. Dokya discovered that the author of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse had provided him with the novel as an attached file. Each survivor in the novel was given a unique attribute linked to a skill. With his newfound ability to read at a faster speed, Dokya devoured the opening chapter in less than a minute. Suddenly, it struck him like lightning. Cabin number 3707. That's why he had felt so uneasy all along. He was in cabin 3807, but the protagonist of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse was in the cabin behind his. What had happened to the people in cabin 3807 in the story? Dokya peered into the chaos unfolding in subway cabin 3807, realizing that only 2 people would survive there. In the midst of the madness, a familiar face caught Dokya's attention. It was Nam Woon, a character he knew from the novel. Dokya believed that Hyun Seong Lee and Nam Woon would be the survivors from cabin 3807. Nam Woon began to beat an old woman, but Mr. Han grabbed his hand. With no time to waste, Nam Woon frankly told Mr. Han that the army might not save them and that they had to decide who would die. It was a matter of life or death. With this, all the passengers began to mercilessly beat the old woman. Only Dokya and Sanga stood by and watched. Eventually, Dokya couldn't take it anymore, and as an explosion rocked the train, he sprinted forward towards the mob. He urged everyone to stop the senseless violence, to reconsider their actions and the consequences they carried. In that moment, he became the voice of reason and hope in the midst of chaos. Nam Woon, however, remained skeptical, questioning Dokya's proposal. He scoffed at the idea of sparing lives, suggesting that they should target losers like Dokya instead. But Dokya was steadfast in his belief that there was always an alternative, a way to survive without resorting to killing. With unwavering determination, Dokya clarified that the scenario demanded the extermination of living organisms, not necessarily human lives. He held up a bug, demonstrating that there were options beyond violence. It was a powerful moment that challenged the passengers to think beyond their instincts and consider the greater implications of their choices. The tension in the cabin subsided as the passengers began to see the wisdom in Dokya's words. They realized that survival didn't have to come at the cost of their humanity. They joined Dokya in his quest for a different path, putting an end to the mindless killings. Meanwhile, Nam Woon, intrigued by Dokya's unique perspective and abilities, sought a collaboration. But Dokya, having delved into the world of 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse, knew that he had to forge his own path. Rejecting Nam Woon's offer, Dokya remained true to his principles and convictions. Dokya, our knowledgeable reader, had a glimpse of what lay ahead for him in his future. Nam Woon, on the other hand, tried to catch Dokya off guard, but to his surprise, Dokya could read his thoughts and dodge. Fueled by his hatred for our main character, Nam Woon became enraged and attacked Dokya. Nam Woon possessed the skill of the Edgelord attribute, Grimdark Awakening Level 1. With a swift move, Dokya managed to dodge just barely. As their battle unfolded, Dokya's understanding of Nam Woon grew, thanks to his skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, reaching Level 1. Meanwhile, Dokya couldn't help but be confused the nature of this newfound ability. Despite Von Woon's relentless attacks, Dokya showed no signs of retaliation, leaving his opponent baffled. Unbeknownst to Nam Woon, Dokya's Omniscient Reader's perspective activated, granting him insight into Nam Woon's thoughts and actions. Dokya planned his moves accordingly, dodging Nam Woon's every strike. With only 2 minutes remaining, Nam Woon's attention shifted to an older woman in the vicinity. He believed that her survival was crucial for him to clear the scenario. Determined to kill her, Nam Woon drew his dagger, unlocking his knife-fighting Level 1 skill. In a swift motion, he stabbed at Dokya, who was shielding the old woman. It didn't hit any vital organs, but the cut burned with purple flames. As Dokya lifted the old woman to safety, he crushed the bug in his hand and gained a ton of coins. Dokya decided to invest 270 coins in his stamina, significantly increasing his physical durability. Thus, despite Namwoon's relentless attempts to harm him, Dokya remained unaffected. Time ran out, causing everyone's heads to be exploded, except the first scenario's 5 survivors: Hyun Seong Lee, Sang Ah, Gileong Lee, Mayongo Han, and Kim Dokya. Dokya wiped Namwoon's blood off his face. He had killed 124 living beings during the scenario. Among his victims were 1 grasshopper and 123 grasshopper eggs, leading to a reduction in the number of coins he acquired. Despite this setback, Dokya still possessed 3,500 coins, and he unlocked the achievement called Decimator for his excessive slaughter. During the scenario, Dokya looked out the window and saw an ichthyosaurus sea serpent, a formidable snake-like monster. He claimed that such creatures would be classified as Grade 7 monsters in TWSA. In this world, scenarios took precedence, and creatures wouldn't attack unless provoked by participants in the system. Meanwhile, the Dokebi, the mastermind behind the scenarios, counted the stars as a reflection of how many constellations had subscribed to his channel in TWSA. Constellations were mysterious beings who live-streamed the scenarios across the cosmos. Dokya asserted that Namwoon was responsible for the deaths of most people in the cabin during the story. Some constellations harbored hatred towards Namwoon, while others were inspired by Dokya's scenario and rewarded him with 500 coins. Expressing his gratitude, Dokya thanked the constellations for their support. He questioned Gileong Lee about his desire to live and offered to collaborate with him. The constellations were enthralled by Dokya's good deeds and bestowed him with an additional 200 coins. The Dokaibi informed the survivors about the concept of constellations or sponsors. These great beings felt pity for the survivors and wanted to sponsor them. A message was delivered to the survivors, mentioning the names of the sponsors. This marked the beginning of one of the main TWSA events, the sponsor selection. The constellations would stream the selection process through Dokaibi's channel, sponsoring a human of their choice to be their incarnation. Dokya found himself as a candidate for sponsorship by 4 constellations. Since the constellations kept their true identities hidden, Dokya had to rely on their aliases to guess their identities. The options included the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, the Demonic Judge of Fire, who ironically wasn't a demon but the Archangel Uriel, a secretive plotter, and the Prisoner of the Golden Headband, a handsome monkey king known as the Great Sage, Heaven's equal son Wukong. Long name, right? After a short break to prepare for the next scenario, Dokya gathered the survivors and urged them to find a way to leave. Spotting a non-functional door, Dokya asked Hyunseong Lee to utilize his skills to break it. Utilizing his skill to check Hyunseong Lee's character profile, Dokya discovered that his stats were quite high, and he was a soldier who turned a blind eye to injustice. Chosen by a constellation, Hyunseong Lee presented an opportunity to escape for the group. Successfully breaking the door, they managed to escape the cabin, only to be met by an enraged Dokaibi. He presented the second scenario, which involved escaping by crossing a collapsed bridge and reaching Oksu Station within 20 minutes. Aware of the time constraint, Dokya instructed Sang-ah to run. However, they realized that they had gotten off the train too early, leaving them with a long way to go. As they raced against time, a fearsome sea serpent emerged, threatening to destroy the bridge. The Dokaibi, known for his love for adding twists, decided to make things more challenging. He unleashed the evil desires of the dead, causing black ether to rise from the surrounding earth and resurrect demonic beings. In this dire situation, Gileong and Hyunseong Lee found themselves on the other side of the collapsing bridge, while Dokya, Sang-ah, and Myongo were left behind. Fortunately, the constellation stepped in, activating their blessings. A light bridge materialized, allowing only an even number of people to cross. Realizing that there were 3 people remaining, Dokya knew that one of them had to sacrifice themselves. Myongo forcefully lifted Sang-ah and ran across the bridge, leaving Dokya behind. Dokya found himself on edge, his anxiety mounting. Determined to gain some insight, he attempted to use the character profile skill. But to his surprise, it didn't work on people who were not the characters of The Ways of Survival in the Apocalypse, TWSA. Undeterred as he was surrounded by zombies, he activated his bookmark number 1, marking the beginning of his grim and dark awakening. In a swift and impressive move, Dokya effortlessly dispatched the undead Namwoon, leaving him lifeless. As the countdown timer ticked away, he found himself surrounded by a horde of lifeless corpses. Just then, a tall man approached, and Dokya couldn't help but wonder if he was his next opponent. Doubt clouded his mind, fearing that he might not be able to defeat him. Seeking information, he activated the character profile, only to be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of data. Adjusting his approach, he switched to a character summary instead. The man introduced himself as Yu Jung-hyuk, possessing an impressive level 8 Eye of the Sage skill. Yu Jung-hyuk was not only a professional gamer, but also a regressor, someone who had traveled back in time. In a shocking turn of events, Yu Jung-hyuk wrapped his hands around Dokya's neck, asking how he was still alive. A conversation ensued, with Dokya learning that Yu Jung-hyuk, now devoid of humanity, considered himself the most formidable character in the TWSA universe. As the tension mounted, Dokya pondered his chances of survival, weighing his words carefully. Unlocking level 2 of his skill, the Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, Dokya was now able to delve into Yu Jung-hyuk's thoughts, gaining a deeper understanding of his intentions. The clock was ticking, with only 5 minutes remaining. Yu Jung-hyuk inquired about Dokya's involvement in Namwoon's demise. Dokya told him that they had cleared the scenario by killing insects, but Namwoon didn't make it. Utilizing his Eye of the Sage ability to reveal concealed information, Yu Jung-hyuk attempted to see if Dokya was telling the truth or not. As this happened, Dokya's never-before-seen fourth wall skill leapt into action, causing a momentary halt to Yu Jung-hyuk's Eye of the Sage. Yu Jung-hyuk, visibly taken aback, realized that Dokya possessed a skill capable of countering his own. Seizing the opportunity, Dokya challenged him, stating that Scenario 46 couldn't be accomplished alone. Offering his assistance, Dokya proposed that Yu Jung-hyuk join him, relying on Dokya's reader knowledge to fill in the gaps of Yu Jung-hyuk's future understanding. Cautious yet curious, Yu Jung-hyuk activated his lie-detecting skill, confirming that Dokya spoke the truth, leaving him astounded. Dokya questioned the completeness of Yu Jung-hyuk's future knowledge, urging him to embrace their partnership. As the scenario's time dwindled to mere seconds, Yu Jung-hyuk made a decision, choosing Dokya as his companion. Grabbing him by the collar, Yu Jung-hyuk led Dokya towards the Bridge of Light, but instead of crossing, Yu Jung-hyuk revealed his intentions to toss Dokya into the sea. Reminding Yu Jung-hyuk of their agreement, Dokya insisted on being treated as an equal. Just as Yu Jung-hyuk prepared to throw him, Dokya's words struck a chord. Hesitant yet intrigued, Yu Jung-hyuk smiled and dropped Dokya. Our protagonist plunged into the depths of the sea, where the treacherous sea serpent awaited, jaws open. Surprisingly, Dokya found himself intact, having survived the sea serpent's deadly jaws. In the stomach of the sea serpents, surrounded by a macabre scene of lifeless bodies, Dokya contemplated Yu Jung-hyuk's test of his worth as a companion. Determined to prove himself, Dokya proclaimed his strength and resilience, having earned the title of a survivor. Yu Jung-hyuk had evolved into a lone wolf through all of his regressions. Pushing these thoughts aside, Dokya couldn't ignore the impending danger as the stomach acid loomed closer. Just when things seemed dire, a familiar face emerged. The Dokaibi. Even in his predicament, Dokya exuded an air of calmness, as if he had been expecting the Dokaibi arrival. With time running out, Dokya's failure became apparent. As a penalty, the Dokaibi would claim his coins instead of his life. Undeterred, Dokya astutely deduced that failure allowed room for association, realizing that the penalty didn't mention anything about consequences. Impressed by Dokya's deduction, the Dokaibi revealed that all the constellations were watching Dokya closely. To exit the failed sub-scenario, Dokya would require a staggering 5,100 coins. Overwhelmed by the seemingly insurmountable cost, Dokya contemplated his options. The Dokaibi, offering a practical perspective, advised him to abandon the scenario if he wasn't willing to pay. Dokya, unyielding and resilient, retorted, dared the Dokaibi to kill him. Dokya knew that the Dokaibi couldn't do this as all the constellations had their eyes on him. Then, Dokya made a daring proposition to the Dokaibi, asking him to enter into a contract. But oh boy, did the Dokaibi scoff at Dokya's offer. You see, Dokya had refused all the offers from different constellations, and that made the Dokaibi think he was dealing with a truly insane person. Dokya didn't want to align himself with just any constellation, and that's why the Dokaibi, now named Bihyong, declined his offer. But wait, there's more. Dokya boldly claimed that he wanted to sign an exclusive Steam contract for his channel. Can you believe it? Bihyong was taken aback by this audacity. A mere human mentioning a stream contract without any constellation support? Madness. But Dokya had a plan up his sleeve. He wondered what would happen if his incarnation performed better than any other incarnation, even without the help of a supporting constellation. He wanted to prove himself, and that's when he asked Bihyong to start the channel. Little did they know that a hidden scenario was about to unfold, leaving poor Bihyong utterly perplexed. The task window appeared, challenging them to kill the fearsome ichthyosaur and escape within 10 days. Talk about a difficult task. Failure meant certain death. Dokya didn't mess around. He threatened poor Bihyong, forcing him to open the Starstream cash shop. With 800 coins in hand, Dokya bought 4 bags of mucus and 4 thorns. What was he thinking? Dokya's strategy piqued the interest of a secretive plotter among the constellations. Bihyong saw potential in his unconventional methods, and negotiations for the contract terms would begin, but only after Dokya successfully cleared his scenario. Good luck, Dokya. And just like that, channel hashtag B7623 was finally active. Bihyong vanished without a trace. Dokya remarked that time was running out before the ichthyosaur's stomach acid started secreting. Gross. But Dokya had a trick up his sleeve. He applied mucus on the thorn, and when the ichthyosaur roared, he ascended with the aid of the mucus and thorn. He wanted everyone to know that he wasn't the story's protagonist. He was just an ordinary reader caught in an extraordinary tale. The constellations were amazed by Dokya's survival abilities. It was already the 4th day of the hidden scenario, and Dokya emerged victorious. He received a handsome reward of 9,000 coins for being the first to hunt down a Tier 7 sea monster. He even got an achievement reward of 1,000 coins. Lucky guy. Dokya felt grateful to be alive. But let's talk about his use of mucus and thorns. It astounded everyone, including Bihyong. It was hard for him to comprehend that the mucus from a hammer seahorse and the thorns could defend against the ichthyosaur's stomach acid. Talk about an unconventional survival technique. Dokya's stamina had increased to level 12, and he located the ichthyosaur's nucleus. He had big plans for it, intending to put it up for auction at the Dokaibi auction house. But wait, a stream contract agreement suddenly popped up. Dokya was surprised to receive an even better offer than he had anticipated, but stubborn as ever, he declared that he would take all the profit from the channel and declined to offer Bihyong even a single penny. That didn't sit well with Bihyong, who grew irate. Thankfully, after some back and forth, they finally agreed, and Dokya signed the contract. With the ichthyosaur defeated, Dokya moved on to the second central scenario area. But guess what? It was highly contaminated. Not one to back down, Dokya ventured into a convenience store to pick up some essentials for his survival. He used Elaine monkey lungs to counteract the lethal toxin. That's some serious preparation. But then, an injured girl called out to him for assistance. Always the hero, Dokya carried her on his shoulders, making their way towards the closest underground station, Geumho. Uh-oh. It was closed, but fear not. The girl told Dokya about Exit 4, another entrance. Dokya, being the risk-taker he is, used his thorn to open the shutter and enter the safe zone with the girl. Phew. But trouble followed them. Some folks showed up and demanded Dokya hand over the woman. Not on Dokya's watch. He grabbed his thorn and stood up to protect her. Dokya struck the leader while also checking his character profile. Kyolsu was a 34-year-old man who tended to overstate his fighting ability. Dokya had a hunch that he wasn't as strong as he was saying. Dokya questioned how Kyolsu had survived, as according to the novel, he should have been killed by Junghook. The 4th wall was obstructing Kyolsu's skull. Bluff. Feeling a bit rebellious, Dokya stabbed his wrist with the thorn to shut the scumbag up. Chi, also feeling the weight of despair in his eyes, asked Dokya to kill him. And guess what? The sub-scenario had been fulfilled. Dokya received a reward of 300 coins. He lifted the girl, asking others to lead him to safety. The girl led Dokya to Geumho Exit 3. His arrival astonished Sangha, who ran to greet him. Dokya even gave chocolate to Gilyong and asked about Yu Jung-hyuk, who had left the station the day before. Dokya internally monologues about Yu Jung-hyuk. The man was a regressor, reliving his life repeatedly to achieve his goals. And now, it was time for him to move on. After being caught up, we learned that, oh no, Mr. Han had gone missing. Things were getting intense. The assailants surrounded them, but Mr. Han, being one of them, ordered Dokya to leave. Inho, the leader of the Kyoldou group, stopped Mr. Han and greeted Dokya. Dokya believed that Inho was the leader of the Kyoldou group. Inho announced to the crowd that Dokya had brought food for everyone. What a kind gesture. He welcomed Dokya to Geumho Station and even offered him a spot in their group. Inho proposed that Dokya lead the group with him. But Dokya had doubts. Should he really trust these people? Dokya didn't respond, and Inho merely asked them to find him if they had a change of heart and wanted to join his group. Dokya adamantly declared it would never happen. But little did he know what was about to unfold. As hunger gnawed at their stomachs, he graciously distributed food among his loyal squad. The anticipation grew as they prepared to savor the meal they had been waiting for. But then, with an angry uproar, a group of people approached, demanding their share of the food. They insisted that Dokya share the precious sustenance. Now, Inho was a character to be wary of, known for using the suffering of others as fuel for his own power and manipulating the masses. Depending on his actions, Dokya could either become a hero by sharing the food or a villain by hoarding it. With a mischievous smile, Inho chimed in, fueling the tension. People clamored for food, their voices echoing in the air. But Dokya remained unwavering as he declared his willingness to share the food, but not without a price. His response shocked Inho, who was taken aback by the demand of 10 coins per food item. Hui Wanzhong, appreciating Dokya for his previous aid, informed Sangha and Hyunseong about his selfless act of risking his life to retrieve the food and rescue her. They agreed to pay, and Sangha joined her finger with Dokya's to share the coins. Even Gilyong, who Dokya had gifted chocolate, paid 20 coins. Meanwhile, Huiwan couldn't help but remark that Gilyong was a better person than those shameless adults. Later the next morning, Inho announced to the crowd that they would limit the food to 3 biscuits per person, further inciting their anger. Inho activated his insight skill, turning everyone against Dokya. After that little incident, a grateful Huiwan thanked Dokya once again for saving her life. Curiosity piqued, Doc checked her character profile, discovering that she possessed the intriguing attribute of a crouching figure. Although her attribute information was still dormant, this detail bothered Dokya as it hinted at the potential for her to become an indiscriminate murderer. Just as their conversation unfolded, a black dokaibi appeared, imposing a penalty that shook everyone. All the food was banished, and a new survival fee was implemented, a daily withdrawal of 100 coins as payment. Those who couldn't afford it would meet a grim fate. Until the second scenario was resolved, the survival fee would be collected as a penalty. Dokya's mind-reading ability caught Inho's rage as he never anticipated such a turn of events. Inho, however, was aware of the food penalty, but the additional survival fee caught him off guard. Doc pointed out that these penalties were not part of the original novel, suspecting that his contract with Bihyong influenced the story. Turning to his squad, Doc asked if they should proceed with the monster hunt. They needed a team dedicated to completing the scenario. Inho inquired if Dokya would allow a new member to join their party, and Dokya responded with a disapproving tone, but still allowed the greasy businessman Myongo to join them. The group learned of a bug-collecting attribute possessed by Jillian, allowing him to converse with insects. Gillian activated his interspecies communication skills, informing Dokya and the others that the path ahead seemed safe for at least the next 100 steps. Sangha, however, suspected trouble up ahead as darkness loomed, blocking their route like an impenetrable wall. A new sub-scenario emerged, requiring them to hunt and cook a monster for sustenance. The difficulty level was rated as E, indicating a challenging endeavor. They stumbled upon a lifeless Tier 9 subterranean ground rat. Utilizing her kendo skills, Huiwon crafted swords from the rat's fossils. Drawing from BJ's knowledge of butchering monsters, courtesy of TWSA, Dokya led the team, advising them to spend their coins wisely to enhance their stamina, strength, and agility, while saving enough to pay the survival fee. Thus, the sub-scenario of hunting for food began. They confronted several ground rats, and amidst the chaos, a subterranean rat launched an attack on Mr. Han. Sangha bravely attempted to save him, but was also dragged away. Dokya resolved to find and rescue them. Taking Gilliong along for his tracking abilities, Dokya entrusted Huiwon's well-being to Hyunseong, who was aware that she wasn't feeling well. Venturing into the dark fold where the subterranean rats resided, Gilliong employed his interspecies communication skills, questioning Dokya's decision to let the monster escape. When the subterranean rat abducted Mr. Han and Sangha, Gilliong challenged Dokya about his actions. Doc revealed that the rats stored their hunted treasures in their lair, often containing rare and valuable items. To enter the lair, they would have to navigate the tunnels the rats had dug, and they would be led straight to Sangha and the treasure as well. Gilliong pondered if Dokya was the protagonist of the story, surprising Dokya with his intelligence. Dokya admitted his envy, but clarified that he was not the protagonist. Suspense heightened as the sub-scenario updated, leading them into the subterranean rat's treasure trove. They stealthily observed the captives, Sangha and Mr. Han, within the trove. Blaming each other for their predicament, tensions rose. In a moment of anticipation, Dokya threw his thorn, triggering anxiety in Mr. Han. Suddenly, a Warden of Dark materialized, initiating the sub-scenario of defeating the Warden. Without wasting a second, Dokya sprinted to save his friends. He untied them and faced the Warden. But the demonic king bestowed his blessings upon the Warden of Dark, raising the stakes. The Warden uttered demonic words that baffled Dokya, exuding a menacing aura that even his fourth wall skill struggled to neutralize. Nevertheless, Dokya pressed on, using his quick thinking to subdue the terror within himself. The battle ensued, and Dokya's plan to avoid combat was thrown out the window. In the heat of the fight, his fossil sword snapped, revealing that the Warden wasn't placed there by chance, but to prevent others from claiming the treasures. With determination, Dokya confronted the Warden, deploying the broken faith item received from the auction house as a bargaining chip. The constellations watched with curiosity as Dokya harnessed the power of broken faith, a degraded broken sword with limited durability. Dokya's White Star weapon aura, purchased from Bi-hyung after slaying Ichthyosaur, brought the Blade of Faith to life. With unparalleled skill, Dokya engaged the Warden in a fierce battle. He emphasized that it wasn't a fancy weapon that made a true swordsman, as he employed his bookmark abilities and bookmark number 2. The Warden howled in fury as Dokya relentlessly severed his tentacles. Sangha, astounded by Dokya combat prowess, questioned how he knew where to strike. Dokya simply replied that all he had to do was read. Wounded and weakened, the Warden's intimidating presence faltered. Even the Black Flame Dragon constellation couldn't believe what it witnessed. Broken faith reached its limit, its usefulness coming to an end after a single use. As a reward for clearing the sub-scenario, Dokya received 500 coins, leaving constellations and onlookers impressed by his masterful plan. Dokebi, however, questioned why Dokya didn't finish off the defeated Warden. Dokya firmly stated that he did not support killing. In a surprising turn of events, the Dokabi informed Dokya that if he had slain the Warden, he would have been the first person to vanquish a Tier 7 demonic species, earning him over 7,000 coins. Dokya declined a tempting offer. But things got more thrilling when Mr. Han finished off defeated the fearsome Warden of Darkness, becoming the first to hunt down the monstrous demon. However, Dokya revealed that he didn't kill the monster on purpose to avoid the wrath of the Demon King. He knew that Mr. Han would face something truly horrific because of it. A curse. To everyone's surprise, the treasure chest was finally unlocked, granting Gilliong a rusty iron shield and Sangha a mono recovery bracelet, both in a degraded state. But then, Dokya stumbled upon a mana brazier, a rare find limited to 1 use per incarnation. To celebrate, they had a mouth-watering barbecue of rat legs, skillfully cooked with the gadget. Mr. Han couldn't resist and joined in, drooling over the delicious meal. Amidst their adventure, Dokya stumbled upon a mysterious box. Curiosity piqued, he placed a demonic monster core and a broken faith item inside it, unlocking a legendary sword called Unbreakable Faith. This remarkable item granted immense strength and endurance to its wielder. Excitedly, Dokya urged his team to head back, using Giliong's interspecies communication skill to inform them about the absence of insects, which had exploded due to the Warden of Darkness's presence. Giliong attempted to summon an insect from the surface, but it seemed too great of a task for him. Giliong's unconsciousness raised concerns about using his skill, as Dokya doubted that Giliong could summon a monarch species insect without dire consequences. To prevent being buried alive, Dokya requested the boy not to use the skill without his approval, emphasizing the danger. Luckily, Senga possessed a skill that would help them find an alternative method out of the underground using a golden thread. Together they managed to find a way out, ensuring their safe passage. Dokya's care extended to Huiwan, as he provided her with food to aid her recovery. Their journey led them back to station, where a restless crowd awaited. With only 20 minutes remaining until checkout, a message warned them to prepare their survival fee, as failure would result in death. Frantically, they pleaded with each other for money, and everyone seemed to believe that Dokya had the most coins. A swarm of people surrounded Dokya, all hoping to benefit from his wealth. But he decided not to play along with Inho's games anymore. Inho chuckled, revealing that many people could survive if they simply refused to buy food from him. The crowd demanded Dokya return their coins, but he pondered the consequences if he refused. Suddenly, attackers descended upon Dokya, but with the aid of his sword, he skillfully severed their hands, leaving everyone terrified. What will happen next? Find out in our next recap of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps. Welcome back. Last time, Dokya refused to be a charity and defended himself from greedy survivors. Dokya tried to convince the populace that Inho was to blame for their predicament, highlighting how people feared them because of their wealth and higher stats. As tensions rose, Dokya pointed out that there were fewer survivors, and he questioned why none of Inho's gang had died during patrol. Chaos ensued as people asked how they would gain money if they killed someone. Dokya used the situation to his advantage, emphasizing the flaws in Inho's plan. With the scenario heating up, Huiwan, infused with newfound power, stepped forward as the judge of evil. She executed her formidable skill, obliterating Inho and his gang. Though weakened, she found solace in Dokya's support. As the scenario progressed, Dokya's squad gained new allies, including Huiwan, the judge of evil. However, Mr. Han mysteriously vanished. Together, they ventured to their next destination, where Huiwan kindly shared some coins with Dokya. As he questioned the reason behind the sharing, she explained it as their fair share, though Dokya believed he had received the most coins due to his combat prowess. Armed with his coins, Dokya spent 4,400 of them to enhance his stats, raising his strength and capabilities. The second main scenario, with an E-level difficulty, was activated, requiring them to traverse a tunnel and meet the survivor from the first shelter zone. They encountered subterranean rats along the way, but luckily, Giliong's skill ensured they didn't encounter any ground rats. Dokya took a detour outside in order to prepare for the upcoming scenario. In a daring move, Dokya destroyed the monk's statue, gaining some items that would help them later. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is the coolest Manhwa weapon? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Another sub-scenario called the Illusionary Prison began, with the challenge of escaping within a time limit. Dokya's fourth wall skill protected him from the prison's effects, but sadly his squad started to succumb to insanity. Thanks to the beads Dokya got from the monk statue, Sangha was unaffected by the illusory prison. Dokya used the skill Dispel Evil, and the rest of the group was released. They emerged victorious but mentally exhausted. Recovering from their ordeal, they stumbled upon a Tier 7 ghost species, Spectre, and discovered Spectre Spirit Stones. Giliong, however, suffered from severe headaches, prompting Dokya to reflect on the traumatic experiences they had encountered thus far. Doubts arose about their readiness for future fights. Just then, a girl named Ji-hee Lee, a lone survivor from Taipeng Girls' High School, appeared. Dokya recognized her as a primary character from TWSA and checked her character profile. To their surprise, she had become a scarred sword demon after killing her close friend. Dokya realized her presence was the reason for Jung Hyuk's arrival in Chungmuro. With Ji-hee leading the way, they reached Changuro Station, where the third main scenario was underway. Ji-hee's fierce nature frightened those who dared to mock her. Dokya inquired about Yu Jung Hyuk, but she didn't believe him when Dokya said they were companions. Determined to find Jung-hyuk, Dokya met another boy. This boy revealed his connection to Yoo Jung-hyuk, sharing a story of how Jung-hyuk had saved him from monsters and became leader of their group. Curiosity drove Dokya to explore the room mentioned by the boy, which turned out to be a green zone. He aimed to discover what Jung-hyuk was doing differently this time. As they approached, they noticed a gathering of people. Dokya suspected the 10 evils might be present, and Gileong impetuously invaded someone else's property, triggering a level 3 militarized zone activated by Gong Pildu. Gong Pildu demanded 500 coins from the boy, threatening to set all the turrets on fire. Dokya stepped forward, engaging in a conversation with Gong Pildu's henchmen, proposing a personal meeting to collect the coins. As Dokya called Gong Pildu and asked him to claim the coins, the supporters were left shocked and uncertain of their future. Gong Pildu was casually flipping through a magazine when Dokya sauntered in, claiming to have important tasks to complete. Dokya, always curious, couldn't resist checking Pildu's character profile. Surprise! Pildu turned out to be the leader of Chungmuro's landlord coalition. Avoiding any conflict with him was highly recommended. Dokya had a favor to ask, permission for him and his friends to enter the green zone, but Pildu wasn't letting them off easily. He demanded 500 coins each day. Dokya, being the resourceful guy he is, offered some valuable intel about Yoo Jung-hyuk. This caused an eruption of rage among Pildu's gang. In the original story, Dokya was engaged in a full-scale conflict with the landlord coalition. He lied that Yoo Jung-hyuk was his loyal companion, with whom he had faced countless life-and-death situations. Pildu observed that people like him often fled without paying rent. Dokya, always quick-witted, suggested Pildu walk away, but then he stopped him and demanded 1,000 coins for trespassing. Just when things were about to turn ugly, Hyun Seong swooped in to save the day with his trusty shield. And guess who appeared? It was Yoo Jung-hyuk. Visibly agitated, Dokya waved to him, shocking everyone around who couldn't believe they were actually friends. To prevent bloodshed, Pildu decided to let them go for now, but that wasn't all. Dokya activated the full version of his character profile, revealing that Yoo Jung-hyuk was even more powerful than he was in the third round of the novel. Yoo Jung-hyuk couldn't help but remark that Dokya was as stubborn as ever. Yoo Jung-hyuk noted that Dokya had made new companions and activated his skill, the Eye of Sage, at level 8. We learned that Yoo Jung-hyuk regretted leaving Hyun Seong with Dokya, realizing he seemed weak. Dokya questioned why Pildu was still alive. He said that Yoo Jung-hyuk needed Pildu alone, and not his entire gang. With only an hour and 30 minutes left until the third scenario began, Dokya hatched a plan to thwart Pildu's ambitions. After Yoo Jung-hyuk left, Hui-won chimed in, claiming Dokya was scared when talking to Yoo Jung-hyuk, but Dokya chuckled, expressing concern about handling Pildu and his gang. Hui-won suggested they could collectively defeat Pildu's gang. However, her attempt to activate her skill, Time of Judgment, was thwarted. Dokya, being the strategist he was, believed that the Time of Judgment talent could only be used against evildoers. To defeat the Pildu gang, they needed to lure him away from his fortified zone. Dokya revealed that Pildu's Stigma militarized zone was a defense skill that only worked in specific areas. To Dokya's surprise, Pildu had everything he needed in his green zone: blankets, food, and even a chamber pot. He suggested they start looking for a space, and just like that, the third main scenario, the green zone, began. The clearance condition was to occupy a green zone and survive the monsters that emerged every midnight. With only 1 hour left until the scenario activated, Dokya informed them that the rules were simple. They had to occupy a green zone before others, and could even steal other players' zones. Chaos ensued as people rushed to claim a green zone, resulting in battles and bloodshed. Dokya advised his team to find a room that could accommodate them. He warned them that the rooms varied in size, so they had to split up to search for a suitable space. Dokya chose to go alone, while Sangha and Hyun Seong teamed up, and Hui-won and Gileong partnered together. They agreed to meet back if none of them found a room. Time was ticking, and there were only 30 minutes left until the scenario started. Unfortunately, Dokya's squad couldn't find any available rooms. Feeling the pressure, Dokya presented them with two choices. The first option ensured their survival as a group, while the second was riskier and could result in someone's death. Opting for the second choice, they put their trust in Dokya. He explained that Hyun Seong, Sangha, and Hui-won had to rush toward the monsters while they swarmed. Dokya gallantly carried Gileong on his shoulders, while the other three sprinted toward the demons. As they fled, a wall turned green, and Hui-won tapped it, revealing a private area called Refuge of the Brave. It was their very own green zone. The monsters attacked, but Dokya swiftly dispatched them. According to Dokya, There were only 2 hidden zones on line number 3. The Dokaibi imposed a penalty for the scenario. Partial green zones were deactivated, and a boy in the restricted zone was killed by the monsters. Gilyeong couldn't help but wonder why Dokya wanted to assist them instead of going solo. With a lift and a smirk, Dokya revealed that he had read a novel where the protagonist's decision to work alone went horribly wrong. Determined not to fall into the same trap, Dokya never intended to be a protagonist himself, yet he couldn't stand by and let Gilyeong perish. In a moment of desperate courage, Dokya activated his powerful bookmark, known as Number 1. With lightning speed, he sprinted and leaped, narrowly escaping the clutches of the ferocious beasts. Meanwhile, Yu Jung-hyuk found himself in a L green zone that could only accommodate 2 people. Dokya knew Jung-hyuk, who could survive without a room, and asked to make space. Initially hesitant, Yu Jung-hyuk finally agreed to take the kid along, but not Dokya. As Dokya's power reached maximum capacity, the monsters struck with all their might. Yu Jung-hyuk, wearing a grin expression, declared that Dokya would die. Dokya just grinned and said that he would never die, as he was swallowed by the horde. Unbeknownst to their enemies, Dokya had swallowed Spectre's spirit stones during his journey to Chubgmuro Station. This granted him temporary invisibility, transforming him into a ghost-like being. The monsters were left bewildered as they searched for their elusive prey. In the midst of the chaos, a curious girl approached Dokya, asking who he was. With a flick of a skill, Dokya activated his character profile, revealing the legendary prophet Anna Croft. Dokya claimed that Anna had the ability to enter people's consciousness and transcend spatial limitations. Puzzled, Anna questioned how Dokya knew her. He reminded her of their previous encounter when he sent her the Ichthyosaurus nucleus through an auction house. Unfortunately, Anna couldn't see his future when the effects of the fourth wall skill began to resurface. Assured that they would meet again, Dokya's connection to the fourth wall was restored in full force. He became immune to the illusionary prison that once threatened him. Dokya woke up, bringing joy to his squad, and inquired about the scenario's progress. Dokya's concern shifted to Gilyeong, standing alongside Yu Jung-hyuk as he rushed to greet his friend. Dokya passed out again. After awakening from his slumber, Dokya found himself surrounded by Huiwon and Sangha. Bihyong's incessant demeanor caught his attention, so Dokya swiftly attended to the pending notifications. He became the second player to achieve Eternal Dawn by enduring a night in Chungmuro without a green zone. With 22,650 coins in his possession, Dokya felt relieved to have gathered enough. Dokya couldn't help but feel disappointed by the lack of information regarding hidden green zones on the 4th day. However, his spirits were lifted when Hyung-seong inquired about his well-being. Dokya expressed his gratitude for having him by his side, feeling safe and reassured. Hyun-seong's radiant smile filled the air as Dokya devised a plan to uplift his teammates' spirits. In an upcoming operation, Hyung-seong's attribute would blossom while defending everyone from invaders. All of the group gathered together to cheer up the sullen Hyun-seong. After complimenting him, they managed to get his attribute to be ready to blossom. Gilyeong informed Dokya that Jihye was on the first basement floor, prompting him to visit her. Jihye greeted him with her blade. Dokya calmly requested that she put her weapon down. He needed Jihye's help and informed her that today they would confront Pildu and his gang. As Jihye grinned, Dokya's understanding of her character deepened. He double-checked if his squad was prepared because tonight's events might be riskier than before. With only 5 hours remaining until the 3rd scenario initiated, Dokya urged them to act before the Landlord Coalition. He assigned Huiwon and Saga the task of escorting Gilyeong to Platform 4. Hyun-seong was worried, but Dokya reassured him that Huiwon was the central figure in this operation. Together they ascended the stairs, where Pildu's supporters were tormenting a defenseless girl. Hyung-seong pleaded for her release, leaving the goons astonished. The blossoming of Hyung-seong's attribute had already begun. To further enhance their chances, Dokya invested his coins to boost his stats, worth a fiery 20,450 coins. Dokya and Hyung-seong launched a fierce counterattack against the goons, catching Pildu's attention. With the activation of Hyun-seong's stigma, Great Mountain Push Level 1, he sent Pildu's gang flying. Dokya fearlessly infiltrated the heavily guarded private property. Pildu's militarized zone retaliated, launching an attack on Dokya. Thinking quickly, Hyung-seong handed his shield to Dokya, enabling him to evade the onslaught. Broken Faith once again proved its effectiveness, saving Dokya from harm. His stamina had reached level 20. Amidst the chaos, Dokya ordered Hyung-seong to destroy the surrounding green zone. As B's attributes continued to blossom, Dokya declared that the purpose of this operation was to elevate Hyung-seong's quality. In his eyes, Hyun-seong was the strongest supporting character in TWSA, unmatched in power when utilizing his skill. Inspired, Hyung Seong activated the Stigma, Great Mountain Crush Level 1. The ground split apart as chaos erupted in the green zone. Pildu lay injured, but amidst the chaos, Dokja wore a satisfied grin. Sangha and Huiwan, following orders, unleashed destruction upon the smaller zones, sparing only those belonging to Pildu. Dokya couldn't help but admire his companion's determination. Jihi took down the green zones with 5 MN capacity, aiming to eliminate Pildu's goons. But just when things seemed to go right, a bounty hunt assassination with a difficulty level C appeared. The prerequisite for clearance? The constellations of channel hashtag 3642 had set their sights on Incarnation Kim Dokja. Hyung Seong urged him to take cover, but Dokya merely smirked. The destruction of green zones in Cheongmuro brought about a renewed scenario. With all green zones eradicated, they had to endure a relentless onslaught of monsters. The penalty for failing the third scenario was death. Determined, Dokya directed his team towards the stairs, expertly separating his group from the others by using his sword to break the ground. Meanwhile, Hyun Seong Lee also used his strength to seal off the other stairs. With a quick activation of Bookmark 3 and Insight Level 2, Dokya asked Pildu if he could save everyone with his powers. Pildu, confident in his abilities, claimed that if everyone in Cheongmuro gathered, more people would survive. The desperate pleas for assistance began, and Pildu beckoned everyone to assemble. As the scenario for the bounty hunter expired, Pildu activated his private property level 3 skill, unleashing his turrets upon the monsters. Meanwhile, an infuriated Pildu used up his mama quickly as he strengthened his private property and militarized zone skills. Dokya pondered how long Pildu's constellation would sponsor him, and with a plan in mind, he asked the Dokaibi to access the shop. Investing 5,000 coins, Dokya became a gold member of Dokaibi's shop, purchasing a mana recovery potion and a support contract. Dokya teased that such a contract might turn the employer into an employee. Pildu's constellation sought assistance from other constellations, and Dokya seized the opportunity. He offered Pildu's constellation a contract, promising to give the recovery potion to Pildu. With the contract signed, Defense Master agreed. The Dokaibi was shocked by Dokya's audacity, but he believed in the power of deals. To Pildu's dismay, the Defense Master agreed to review Dokya's contract. Pildu, bleeding profusely, received a flask of recovery potion from Dokya, quickly recovering his mana. Furious, Pildu was commanded to resume fighting, with a stern warning from Dokya to behave among his friends. Hyun Seong was instructed to give a potion to Pildu every 40 minutes, ensuring his safety. Concerned for Yoo Jung-hyuk's well-being, Dokya revealed that he was in danger during TWSA, having faced the hidden dungeon in Cheongmuro 8 times, failing twice, and succeeding 6 times. Dokya emphasized the importance of approaching death as a regressor, but it seared down their mental capacities. Dokya announced that the regressive would die today. To clear the hidden scenario, they had to defeat the master of the cinema dungeon. Stepping into the cinema, Ji-hee questioned Dokya's motives for saving Yoo Jung-hyuk. Dokya simply replied that Yoo Jung-hyuk was useful, his presence necessary to prevent regression through death. Searching for Yoo Jung-hyuk, they stumbled upon unfamiliar men, only for them to disappear in a beam of light, leaving everyone stunned. Suddenly, Dokya's squad was shot by a projection beam, transported to Jurassic Park. Dokya confidently declared that they were now inside a movie, much to Gilleong's surprise. Spotting a giant insect, Ji-hye moved in to attack, but Gilleong intervened, grabbing the creature. Delighted, Gilleong gave Dokya a surprised look. Explaining that Gilleong was making friends with the creatures, Dokya announced the arrival of a Tier 7 monster. The monstrous beast, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, activated its carnivorous fear skill, setting the stage for an intense battle. Ji-hee and Huiwan were ordered to disperse, while Dokya instructed Gilleong to stand behind him. Activating his Dinosaur Encyclopedia skill, Gilleong revealed the Tyrannosaurus's vulnerability to side attacks due to its limited peripheral vision. Dokya devised a plan to distract the Tyrannosaurus so that Ji-hee and Huiwan could strike. Gilleong asked if Dokya would be the distraction, using the bug to sting the dinosaur's eyes. As Ji-hee and Huiwan launched their attacks, Dokya unleashed his Unbreakable Faith's unique attribute, delivering a final blow that took down the mighty predator. He had become the first person to hunt a Tier 7 land-dwelling species, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. After the exhilarating battle, Dokya ordered his squad to take a short break before continuing their journey. They visited the Central Research Lab, where Dokya acquired 20 potions of amplification for strength, agility, mana, and stamina. Ji-hye requested the strength potion, But Dokya, aware of her connection with Yu Jung-hyuk, chose not to give her any. A helicopter arrived, transporting them to the next floor, armed with amplification ampules. As a reward for slaying the T-Rex, Dokya received an enraged T-Rex DNA ampule, a valuable asset for clearing the final floor. They reached the first ending credit, earning 500 coins for their impressive performance, before returning to the cinema dungeon. With uncertainty hanging in the air, Dokya urged his team to rush, unsure of how many movies awaited them. Located near Chungmuro Station's Exit 1, the cinema dungeon had a total of 9 floors, counting the basement. Fortunately, torn posters on floors 2 and 3 indicated successful clearance. As they reached the 4th floor, they entered their second movie, finding themselves on a ship. Hui-wan and Dokya took on the roles of the main characters, while Gil-yong appeared as Jeb Dawson, and Hui-wan was the female lead. Ji-hee swiftly dispatched the antagonists, feeling that kidnapping them wasn't enough. The thrilling ending impressed the cinema master, and the door to the next floor swung open at the stern. The second ending credit marked their progress. Entering the 5th floor, the reward room, they were limited to 2 items per person. The area overflowed with enticing props. Hui-wan chose the exquisite sword Mikazuki Manichika, while Dokya opted for the shield of Hercules. Gil-yong claimed a thorn Mjolnir, despite it being a replica, as it possessed tremendous power. Dokya adorned an image of the reinforcement armor suit, providing sturdy protection for his entire body. Their mission to find Yu Jung-hyuk led them to search for intact signs amidst the ripped posters. A beam of light guided them back to a ship, but other ships launched an assault. Shielded by the shield of Hercules, Dokya inquired about General Sun Shin Lee. He wondered if they could win the Battle of Myeongyang without him. In a heartfelt moment, Dokya called out Ji-hee's name. With tears in her eyes, Dokya inquired about Ji-hee's well-being. The weight of her past actions weighed heavily on her, as she remembered the friend she had once betrayed. She was cowering in the corner. Dokya assured her that he was no different, relying on his knowledge of characters to survive. Together, they fought fiercely against the intruders, giving them a tough time. Dokya questioned whether Ji-hee truly desired death, but she wiped her tears and expressed her will to live. Ji-hee unleashed her sword, her Ghost Fleet Level 1 stigma activated, and with a confident smile, she remembered how she had assisted Yu Jung-hyuk channeling Admiral Lee's legendary maneuver. Ji-hee's powerful stigma transformed her into a formidable naval commander. She fearlessly engaged the invading forces in combat, skillfully smacking them off until the last enemy ship met its watery demise. The thrilling conclusion left the cinema master thoroughly impressed, even earning Ji-hee their appreciation. The bounty situation was resolved, rewarding Ji-hee with the naval warfare stigma for successfully completing the scenario. Dokya was astonished when he received the stigma Sword Song, knowing it would greatly aid him on the treacherous 8th floor. Sensing Ji-hee's fatigue, he urged her to rest as they ascended the stairs. Armed with his coins and ampules, Dokya significantly boosted his stats. Together, they entered the 8th floor of Fahrenheit, where they encountered Yu Jung-hyuk, standing with his back turned. With a mischievous grin, Dokya confidently walked up to him and playfully slapped him off, only to be perplexed when he realized Yu Jung-hyuk hadn't reacted. Curiosity led Dokya to check on Yu Jung-hyuk, only to remember that he had met his demise in the cinema dungeon during his 8th regression stimulation. The cinema master, sitting on a nearby bench, revealed himself as Yu Jung-hyuk's killer in TWSA. As if controlled by the cinema master, Yu Jung-hyuk began to become enraged. Dokya urged him to calm down. However, Jung-hyuk unleashed a devastating force palm, causing severe injuries and damaging his reinforced armor suit. In a fit of rage, Hui-wan leaped forward to attack Yu Jung-hyuk, but he skillfully knocked her aside. Activating his level 2 skill, the 100-step fist, Yu Jung-hyuk sent Hui-wan flying. In the midst of the chaos, Dokya shouted a warning to Ji-hee, who managed to dodge, only to be astonished by her master's current state. Dokya, always the master of surprises, shared a shocking revelation with the group. He informed them that Yu Jung-hyuk had fallen under the influence of the cinema master. Determined to save his friend, Dokya quickly hatched a plan. He called upon Ji-hee to dodge her master's blow, while he himself prepared to face the cinema master head-on. But just as Dokya was about to unleash his attack on the cinema master, Yu Jung-hyuk, ever the unpredictable wildcard, sprinted into the scene and intervened. The chaos escalated as Hui-wan and Ji-hee joined the fray, leading to a flurry of intense combat maneuvers. Amidst the heated battle, Gil-yong unleashed his skill, creating a breathtaking display of power with Thor's replica hammer. However, Yu Jung-hyuk countered with his immunity to electricity, neutralizing Gyeong's onslaught. It seemed like an impasse until Dokya, in a moment of desperation, consumed the enraged T-Rex Ampule, amplifying his stats and enhancing his agility. Not one to be outdone, Dokya activated level 2 of the White Star weapon aura, while Yu Jung-hyuk unleashed his own sword and activated the Blue Star weapon aura at level 2. The clash of their weapons sparked an epic showdown between the two. As the battle raged on, Dokya urged Yu Jung-hyuk to regain control of himself, blaming Cinema Master's manipulation on his mental instability. Dokya believed that if Yu Jung-hyuk's mind barrier skill had been at its peak, this predicament wouldn't have occurred. Fueled by his determination to survive, Dokya fought with all his might, drawing strength from the knowledge he had gained from reading countless stories. For a brief moment, Yu Jung-hyuk managed to break free from Cinema Master's control, but the evildoer quickly regained his hold over him. As Yu Jung-hyuk's Blue Star weapon proficiency grew stronger, Gyeong fell unconscious, and Dokya, undeterred, activated the Broken Face distinctive property, igniting his sword with blazing flames. He focused on dominating Yu Jung-hyuk, but their attention was diverted when Gyeong summoned a grade 6 monarch insect, Titanoptera, through his impressive maneuvers. Taking advantage of the distraction, Kaitano held Yu Jung-hyuk's sword and launched an attack on Cinema Master, questioning the cause of his sinister grin. The Master retaliated by using his mind control method on Dokya, but our protagonist, unfazed, activated the fourth wall skill, a unique ability that allowed him to jump in and strike the Master. In a surprising turn of events, Dokya became the first to defeat the powerful Cinema Master. As the dust settled, the Cinema Master's defeat marked a significant milestone. Dokya received 9,000 coins as a clearance incentive, and Gyeong regained consciousness. Showing his compassionate side, Dokya cradled Gyeong in his lap and inquired about Huiwon's well-being. It was at this moment that Gyeong noticed a shooting star and encouraged Dokya to make a wish. With survival at the forefront of his mind, Dokya made a wish to witness the epilogue of a particular novel, highlighting his unwavering determination. The completion of both the third central scenario and the hidden scenario was a reason for celebration. Dokya advised Jihi to stay by Yu Jung-hyuk's side, cautioning that his awakening might complicate matters. Returning to Cheongmuro Station, Dokya was met with a warm welcome from Sangha and Hyun Seong. The countdown to the fourth main scenario had begun, and a notification popped up, informing them that it would commence in 5 minutes. Suddenly, a Dokabi appeared, providing them with a lively update on Scenario 4. The group learned that they would need to collaborate with other stations for this new challenge. Intrigued by the leader selection sub-scenario, Dokya and his team discovered that they had to retrieve the white flag, installed in the center of the platform, to become the elected leader of Cheongmuro with absolute authority. Pildu, ever loyal to Dokya, dashed towards the flag as per their agreement, showcasing his unwavering commitment. Sarcasm. Dokya, now the leader of Cheongmuro Station, would maintain his authority if others weren't seized the flag within the 5-minute time frame. Pildu, seizing the opportunity, ordered his supporters to make a swift move. Sensing the urgency, Dokya entrusted Hyun Seong with the Shield of Hercules, and he unleashed his area defense skills to protect their position. Pildu, attempting to attack them with his level 6 militarized zone, faltered as Dokya had not given him the command to stand up. Pildu, fueled by rage, expressed that there were 29 individuals in total. Dokya addressed the crowd, giving them the option to leave the station or stay in Cheongmuro under his guidance. Understanding Pildu's significance, Dokya forbade him from leaving, claiming him as his own. With the fourth main scenario now in motion, the participants were tasked with planting their flags on designated flagpoles and defending them from rival teams. The stakes were high, as capturing an opponent's flagpole meant gaining control over their team. Huiwon suggested that their first priority should be locating Cheongsan Station. Approaching Pildu, Dokya explained the need for adjustment since he was no longer part of the landlord coalition. Just then, a group of individuals on bikes appeared. Dokya cautiously instructed them to lower their weapons and announced that they weren't there for a fight. It turned out that Ilhan Kang, the vice leader of the Dongdaemun group, was among them. Dokya, always the strategist, checked Ilhan's character profile before urging him to get to the point. Ilhan revealed that they had come to propose a partnership, knowing that only leaders could plant the flag. The Dongdaemun group claimed they were aware of the station that targeted them and possessed valuable information. Curious but skeptical, Dokya agreed to meet their leader before making a decision. Leading the way, Dokya asked Pildu to look after Gyeong's well-being while they set off on bikes. Little did they know that the Donkeymon group had prepared an ambush, prompting the sudden bike dismount. Dokya's squad swiftly dealt with the situation. Suddenly, their station was attacked. Together, they headed towards the enemies coming from Myeongdong Station, where the leader of the Myeongdong faction and his comrades were storming Cheongmuro Station. The enemy, utilizing the impact of the red flag, sought to gain an advantage. With flags of various colors providing buffs to groups, Pildu showcased his skills by assaulting the intruders. In response, the Innating faction ordered a tactical retreat, while Dokya activated the Unbreakable Faith's distinctive feature. The Myeongdong faction was swiftly defeated, and Dokya triumphantly claimed their flag. As a result, their white flag turned red, leading Dokya to speculate about the potential increase in their group stats. Bound and tied, Ilhan offered information about Cheongmuro, but Sanga, ever cautious, used her magical thread to seal his lips. Before leaving, Dokya visited Yu Jung-hyuk, handing a note to Jihye with strict instructions not to read it. Dokya hinted that its contents were meant solely for Yu Jung-hyuk's understanding. Intriguing the constellations with the concept of censorship, Dokya wondered whether he should censor certain information for their sake. Many constellations grew curious about the contents of the note, fueling their curiosity. Fianxiong questioned the decision to bring more people into their group, but Dokya assured them that they would decide their fate later. Understanding that leaving the people of Myeongdong Station behind would lead to their demise, Dokya made the decision to return to their aid. Upon their arrival, a grim sight awaited them. The station was filled with lifeless bodies, and the attackers had fled, leaving Dokya perplexed by the brutality of the scene. Dokya seized control of Myeongdong Station, and with each conquest, his dominion expanded, setting the stage for a hidden scenario of kingly proportions. To succeed, they had to conquer at least 10 stations within the given time frame. The stakes were high, as failure meant facing the fatal consequence of death. Dokya charted his course towards Dongmyo, extending an invitation to Huiwon and Hyunseong to join him on this perilous journey. Understanding the importance of strategic leadership, Dokya advised Sanga to hold the fort at Cheongmuro Station, knowing that Pildu might attempt to defend their station from harm. Recognizing Sanga's potential, Dokya granted her access to his leadership authority, making her the formidable vice representative of Cheongmuro Station. With newfound power, she could reprimand any misbehaving group members, ensuring order and discipline. Their expedition took them towards Dongmyo, where they encountered Dongdaemun Station, firmly under the control of Dongmyo Station. The leaders of Myeongdong and Dongdaemun were well aware that challenging the authority of the enemy station would be an uphill battle. Undeterred, Dokya and his comrades pressed on, leaving Cheongmuro Station behind. As fate would have it, a mysterious man crossed their path. Dokya, ever curious, attempted to delve into his character profile, only to find it non-existent. However, Dokya's fourth wall-breaking ability nullified the skill the man tried to use on him. Mistaken for Yu Jung-hyuk, Dokya exuded confidence, believing that this enigmatic figure had already read Tusa. Little did he know, this man was the vice representative of Dongmyo Station, ready to guide them to their next destination. Dokya, never one to mince words, urged the man to abandon Dongmyo Station, resorting to a threatening posture with his blade at the ready. However, a member of Dongmyo humbly requested Dokya's presence to meet their leader. Pledging not to cause any harm, Seongguk Lee escorted Dokya to their leader's room. Awaiting them was a young boy named Dong-hoon, donning a distinctive blue flag. Dokya's curiosity piqued as he attempted to access Dong-hoon's character profile. It became apparent that Dong-hoon was under a powerful hypnosis spell and struggling with social anxiety. To Dokya's surprise, Seongguk revealed that Dong-hoon had been a puppet leader, manipulated by others. Eager to learn more about Seongguk and his knowledge of the future, Dokya expressed his admiration for him. In a reassuring tone, Seongguk emphasized how this future Cowledge would aid Yu Jung-hyuk in his regression, mentioning a prophetic book of revelations containing glimpses of the past, present, and future. The mention of Tusa sparked Dokya's interest, prompting him to inquire about the whereabouts of this book of revelations. Seongguk regretfully revealed that the book had been damaged, but they had memorized fragments of its contents. Seongguk identified him as the ninth renouncer, signifying the order in which he stopped reading the Book of Revelations, also known as TWSA. Dokya forced Seongguk to kneel as a test of loyalty and solidifying Dokya's stolen identity. However, their discussion was abruptly cut short as Huiwon poised to attack a member of the Stain and leapt into the air. Later, the man being attacked by Huiwon along with Seongguk kneel and apologize for causing trouble. Eager to gather more information, Dokya attempted to access the new man's character profile, but found it unregistered. Soon after, the new man requested Dokya's permission for a private conversation with Seongguk. Intrigued, Dokya decided to invest 2,000 to acquire an enhanced hearing skill, allowing him to eavesdrop on their secretive discussion. Later, Dokya wondered about the true nature of the renouncers, as Min Seob claimed to be the 1089th renouncer. Curiosity piqued. Dokya inquired about the number of renouncers in existence. To his surprise, there were a total of 48 renouncers, each with their own agendas and affiliations. Excited by this revelation, Dokya made a significant decision, investing 350 to activate the unique feature of his navy flag. Now, he could communicate with his fellow groupmates in a chat room after the events at Dongdaemun and Cheongmuro. With a total of 5 stations under his control, Dokya asked about the possibility of acquiring the rights to Chongsin Station. However, he learned that it was not part of the Dongmyo group and currently controlled by the formidable Tyrant King, one of Seoul's 7 kings. Undeterred by the challenge, Seongguk revealed their covert weapon, designed to defeat the Tyrant King and benefit the 12 disciples. As the world slept, Dokya utilized his hermit cloak to reach Dong-hoon, offering him a mental stimulant to break free from the lingering effects of hypnosis. Dokya assured Dong-hoon that he wasn't there to seize his flag, but rather to be friends. In a surprising revelation, Dokya disclosed his own struggles with social anxiety, establishing a unique connection with Dong-hoon. What will happen next? Find out in our next recap of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more recaps.